Well, the Saints looked pretty good on Sunday versus the Seahawks. No, not on the field. Their uniforms and their new helmets, they looked really cool and really good. Their on the field play was pretty shitty. The Seahawks had their way with the Saints and did whatever they wanted to them. It was a complete disaster. The Saints' 44-13 loss on Sunday to the Seahawks might be the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to the Saints in Seattle. Yeah, never mind. The most impressive takeaway from Sunday's game was that this game was actually pretty close to predicting the Seahawks dropping a 50 bomb, which they likely would have done if they didn't have their backups playing for the entire fourth quarter, and if they didn't take their foot off the gas in the second half. I mean, the game was essentially over 7 minutes into the game, and it was 21-0, literally in the blink of an eye.
21 points. It's the most first quarter points scored by Seattle since they scored 21 against the Giants way back in 2006.
So yeah, this was bad. It was embarrassing and disgusting, but at least we're not that team in Atlanta who had 0 points versus the Panthers and had to bench the 8th overall pick quarterback that they thought was going to be a franchise player. Regardless though, the Saints got embarrassed in all phases by a team that likely is not a Super Bowl contender and by their former offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, which, by the way, did we notice their second half struggles? Clint Kubiak can only call one half. He only scored like 6 points in the second half. That's a win for the Saints. But if we thought this was bad, just wait until they play arguably the best team in football and the best quarterback possibly on planet Earth, and Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Oh my gosh, that's going to be brutal. And I'm going to be there. I'm going to witness it live. I'm going to witness that killing live. We're here to break down the Saints' embarrassing loss to the Seahawks in today's video. I'm Cash, and you should take 5 seconds to like the video and subscribe. Help support the channel so that we can deal with this pain together. Maybe we'll get a win sometime in the year 2025. Maybe the Saints will be good at some point within the next 5 years. But subscribe so we can go through this hell together. We're trying to get to 15K. We're at 14.2, almost at 14.3 right now. And look, just because the Saints product on the field sucks doesn't mean my YouTube videos suck. So make sure to support the channel. With all that being said, let's dive into this. The worst part about Sunday's loss to the Seahawks was the fact that they looked like a team that had never played football before in their lack of preparedness. They looked at that team Bishop Sycamore, that fake school with all those fake players. That was the Saints on Sunday versus the Seahawks. It just looked like a bunch of dudes who put on football costumes for Halloween and went out there and got their asses whipped. And that is essentially what happened. Now, to be fair, you could point it to the lack of talent on the Saints, which I mean is true. They have the bare minimum of talent on the team. But I think this was more of a coaching issue than it was a player issue. We were expecting the players to be pretty bad this year. We were expecting the team to be pretty bad this year. Our expectations were low coming into this year. But this was a new level of low that I don't know if we've ever seen before. And again, I think you got to point to the coaching staff for not having their players prepared. 13 penalties, like 4 freaking false starts, 3 of them happening in one drive, illegal motions, illegal formations. You got Brian Brzee acting like an idiot after a third down stop, having 0 discipline, costing the Saints a third down stop. Where is the... Look at this. The play is over and he tries to street fight WWE someone, headbutts him, and costs the Saints a third down stop, and then the Seahawks would score like on the next play. The Saints right now are super undisciplined. They don't look prepared, and they don't look like a team that was ready to play football games. Basically, the exact same thing that we've been seeing for the past 3 years under the former head coach who shall not be named. It's not even just the penalties. Looking at the special teams unit, the Saints special teams unit didn't look like they were ready to play special teams. They gave up a 95-yard punt return, which is actually insane. 1, the punt itself was actually really good. 2, it's insane that the returner decided to return it from the 5-yard line. And 3, it's insane that he returned it 95 yards for the touchdown. It was the Seahawks' first punt return in 10 freaking years. But hey, it's a good thing the Saints cut arguably the best special teams gunner and possibly special teams player in the league, JT Gray, a few weeks ago. Luckily, we get to see Isaac Yiadom and Velus Jones run into each other, although I did think it was a block in the back, and allow them to score a 95-yard punt return. Having JT Gray might have helped in that situation just just in my opinion. And oh, how about this guy not blocking anyone on this punt block, which is actually insane, and then allowing a 50-yard kick return on a kickoff. Like, the special teams was not ready to play, and you gotta point to the coaching staff. What are they doing in these practices? They flew out to Seattle like 3 or 4 days early to be extra ready and prepare and for team bonding before the game. Well, that team bonding is really coming into play here. They only lost by 31 points. But at least the kicker is good, right? Blake Grupe missed another kick. He's averaging 1 missed kick a week. Averaging 1 missed kick a week is pretty impressive. Have to give it up for Blake Grupe. And it's a good thing that Blake Grupe was named the team captain because, man, I wonder what they would do without that elf. Defensively, Brandon Staley and his guys did an excellent job of keeping Sam Darnold clean and not creating any pressure on him. I mean, they didn't make contact with him until the post-game handshake. So good job from Brandon Staley creating zero pressure and keeping the Seattle Seahawks quarterback, his jersey clean and untouched all day long. I mean, it's a good thing the Saints spent all that money on Chase Young this offseason, right? Because, man, has he done nothing through the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season with an injury. So, yeah, that's great. They spent, like $50 million on him to play no games so far. I mean, this thing just simply didn't look good at all angles. The players didn't look good. The players were making mental mistakes. The coaching staff wasn't good. The coaching wasn't good. I mean, there's probably not a single person here that you can't blame. Well, you can't blame Tyrann Mathieu, and he made that very clear in this tweet that he ended up deleting, which was actually hilarious. He spent 1 day with the Saints this offseason and this new staff and called it a career, called it quits, and that should have been the biggest red flag of them all. Now, when it comes to the coaching staff, they, I think, deserve the most blame for this game. They didn't have anyone prepared. It just simply did not look like a team that was ready to play a football game. They're committing the same penalties they're committing week 1. This falls on coaching. Things need to be changed. This was an embarrassment. And on top of all of this, these are the same penalties that they were committing week 1 and committing last season. Something needs to change. Kellen Moore said post-game that they have to be more prepared, and it starts with him. At least he's taking accountability, but that's the bare minimum. We have to view Kellen Moore as we would, I guess, a rookie quarterback. He needs to develop and get better week by week. I don't know if we've seen Kellen Moore get better week by week. He used a timeout before halftime in week 2 versus the Niners, so that was some improvement. But Kellen Moore, guess what else he did? He decided to take a field goal when down 30 points before halftime, just to get some more points when they're like at the 5-yard line. Like, way to believe in your offense, man. I'm glad that you got those morale points off of that field goal, because I'm not. We need to see Kellen Moore develop and become a better coach. But yeah, week 3's display versus the Seahawks did not give me any confidence that that's going to happen. And it's a first-year head coach. Maybe things will change. And to be fair, we know this roster sucks and there isn't a whole lot of talent. So our expectations were low. But this was arguably the worst game I've ever seen in my life for any team ever. So let's talk about the quarterback, Spencer Rattler, real quick. From this game, I don't take away that he's the biggest issue on the team, but he's also, I don't think, a solution. I think we can say that because they didn't have a left guard. They had their third string left guard in there, Simpkins. They had a backup right tackle in there. Like, things weren't great, but he can't overcome these situations. And franchise quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Drew Brees, they're able to overcome these situations and overcome these hardships and bad spots. And I'm not saying Rattler is the issue. I'm just saying he's probably not the solution. But I think something he has going for him is that of all the problems on the Saints, he's probably not at the top of the list of the biggest problems. They have defensive line issues. They have secondary issues. They have offensive line issues despite spending freaking 6 first-round picks on 5 players. Like, it's insanely horrible. I don't think Rattler's the biggest issue, but he isn't the solution. It's hard to evaluate his game and what he does too because, well, he's in 2nd and 25 after 5 false start penalties and a holding penalty, and then when he runs for a few yards, he gets called back because of the illegal shift. There's things that are out of his control that are not his faults, like a 95-yard punt return and a blocked punt. But there are things within his control that he also needs to do better, like his accuracy. That pass to AK on 4th down could have been better. He had a few other passes that should have been better. There was one that could have been a touchdown. So there's things that he needs to do better, no doubt about it. And it was definitely his worst performance of the season. I'll say this though, the touchdown pass he had to Jack Stoll at the start of the fourth quarter was pretty cool. I thought he was throwing it away under pressure, rolled out right, and threw a nice pass to the end zone to Jack Stoll. Like, this is a cool play. He competes his ass off. I'm not going to deny him that. He is a competitor. You could tell he wants to win. It's just, you know, the situation and circumstances just don't present that to him. But he's not the biggest issue. He's not the solution. Things are only going to get worse next week going into Buffalo. This game was not Rattler's greatest dispute of talent, only scoring 13 points versus a very good defense. I'm not trying to give him crap or anything, but 13 points is not great. Some of it is on him. Most of it is not on him. And we even got to see Tyler Shuck take his first NFL snaps in the regular season, and I mean, that wasn't much better either. It was 2 straight incomplete passes. So, yeah, this team might be just cooked. The Saints being cooked, though, was to be expected. We expected this team, or at least I expected this team not to be very good this year. I expected them to not win a bunch of games, but I did expect them to look better than this. I want to see bright spots. What we saw versus the 49ers is what I want to see. I want to see bright spots. Win or lose, I don't really care. Wins are great, but this team just needs talent, and losing equals a better draft pick, and this team needs as many draft picks and the highest draft picks that they could possibly get. That is, though, if the Saints, you know, don't trade those draft picks away, which we can't rule out because they got the worst general manager in the league in Mickey Loomis. But within that, I want to see the Saints have watchable games and compete. The first 2 weeks were watchable, they were competing, and there were bright spots. Week 3, there was absolutely none of that. Although, there was Quincy Riley forcing a fumble, which was actually pretty cool. I'd like to see him get playing time over Isaac Yiadom so it doesn't cost him a 4th round pick. We got to see Danny Stutzman get some playing time. When it comes to 2025, I just want the games to be watchable. I want to see young players make a stance and prove that they could be building blocks for the foundation and for the future. That's what I want to see from this season. And I felt like this game was a wake-up call too for the future. Like, come the trade deadline, if things are not looking good, like, I know it sucks, it would be heartbreaking, but if you could get a 4th round pick for DeMario, a 3rd round pick for Alvin Kamara, if the Bills want Chris Olave, I think you have to be willing to make those trades, acquire these draft picks, because this game was a wake-up call that this is going to be a long process and a long rebuild. Oh, and how about maybe finding a new freaking kicker? That does it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below of this abysmal, embarrassing loss to the Seahawks. My name's Cash. Make sure to like and subscribe. Help support the channel, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one.